Yo, what's up guys, your boy Ganesh here. Today in this video we're taking a look at something very important, and this is a really requested video. I've seen a lot of you request this video a long time ago, and I've been meaning to make this video for a long time. I actually had a lot of things that are, ready for this video, but I never got the chance to do it because I never had the time. But now that I do, we're going to be talking about the power and how to increase it, how to increase the power of your characters. And before we start talking about that, because we have like a lot of factors to talk about, we need to understand first how the power is calculated for any character in the game. And for that, I have the formula for you guys. So let's go over it real quick here. There we go. So we're basically taking the HP and adding that to the CP multiplied by 10. Then adding the attack and defense multiplied by 2.5 each. Then we have the critical hit rate and the evasion rate without, of course, the percentage. So in this case, we're taking, for example, the 18.75 without the percentage. And then we have the ultimates active, which in this case, we have only one ultimate. You can only actually active only one ultimate on each character. So that's multiplied by 5,000. Then you add all the regular jutsus active, which in this case, we have 3. This is the maximum actually you can have on one character. Times 2000, of course, plus the total ultimate levels. Again, we only have one ultimate, so whatever the level of that ultimate is going to be multiplied by 1000. Then we have the total regular jutsu levels multiplied by 500. So you add all the levels of the jutsu, the regular jutsu that you have, and you multiply that by 500. And then at the end you have the final power. In this case, we're going to be taking care of Naruto because he's my highest in power in the game right now. I think the highest possible in the game is 175,000 on Ima Sasuke. But for now, I don't have his ultimate high level. So in that case, Kill Naruto is my highest. So let's go ahead and test this out. We're taking HP, as we said, 28,477 plus the CP, which is 3,256 multiplied by 10. Plus the attack and defense, we have 15,984 for the attack multiplied by 2.5 and the defense 17,060 multiplied by 2.5, plus the critical hit rate, which is 18.75, plus the evasion rate, which is 18.75 as well. We have only one ultimate active, which is the repeated Rasen Shuriken multiplied by 5,000. Then 3 ninjutsu, all of them are 4 stars. Doesn't really matter if it's a 4-star or a 3-star jutsu. Each of them will still give you 2,000. So it's like 6,000 out of the 3 jutsu that you equip. Plus 7 levels for the ultimate that we have, multiplied by 1,000. So that's 7,000. And then all the jutsu that we have here, you can take a look here. All of them at level 8. So adding them together basically give you 24 levels together multiplied by 500. It should be around 12,000, and adding everything together you have 173,684.5. Now you can see that there's a difference of 1.5, and that's basically the 0.75 from the critical hit rate and the evasion buff, and the evasion rate. They are disregarded, so basically they're rounded up to 18 instead of 18.75, and in that case, if you take off that 1.5, then you have the exact power that you see on the screen right now. Now this formula works for every character in the game, no matter what that character is, but you guys can easily tell that there are a lot of factors that are disregarded in this formula and doesn't really count up to the final power. For example, the power of the ultimate is not there, has nothing to do with the final power. The power of your jutsu also don't really add up to the final power. If you have any resistance, element resistance or jutsu resistance, all of these are not added to the final power. Of course, things like the power post, for example from this tool, doesn't also get added to the final power, which is, by the way, very important for the final damage you deal with your attacks. So you can actually tell that the power is not really telling you exactly how powerful a character is. It disregards a lot of things that are really important, but overall that's the power that people actually strive to get to and flex their characters with. So let's get into the factors that actually help you get to that higher power. So from the formula that we have here, we basically can conclude that there are 2 biggest factors that the power is based on, and these factors are basically the stats and the fact that whether you have the jutsu including the ultimate jutsu, of course, at high level or not having them in the first place. These two biggest factors will be basically divided into 5 parts or 5 factors in this video, and we'll be talking about them in detail. These 5 factors, as you can see on the screen, are the Shinobi types and awakening level. Second thing is the abilities of the Shinobi. Third thing is the tools. The fourth is the cards, and the fifth is basically the jutsu, including the ultimates and their levels, of course. So we'll be talking about each one of them in detail, and let's start with the awakening. Alright, so as for the Shinobi awakening, before we start talking about how to awaken characters, you need to know that when you start the game anyway, you get every single character for free. You don't really summon for characters. You get all the characters fragments, starter fragments for free. You just go to your prison box and you click accept all, and then when you finish that, you just have to go to your Shinobi and then obtain new Shinobi, and then you will find all the Shinobi in the game. You can basically obtain them for free. Then after that, you go to Shinobi list and you will see all the Shinobi that you obtained. And at that point, you will have to start awakening them, because that's the most important thing. That's the base thing you will ever see me do. For example, in live streams, as soon as a new character comes, I always awaken them to max level first. You only need around 570 fragments, and we'll be talking about how to get the fragments now, and some chakra to actually max awaken them. You don't need to establish your, or to level up your establishments anymore. Back in the days, you had to level up your base to around level 15 or level 20 to actually get the ability to, you know, awaken these characters to level 5 or level 6. But now you don't really have to do that anymore. The game made it so much easier, so you can easily just level up your awakening all the way to up to level 6 as soon as you start the game, so easily. Now, before we start talking about the fragments and how to get them, you just need to know something here, and it's something I already talked about in the beginner guide video. If you haven't watched that video yet, make sure to check the link in the description below. But there are different types of characters in this game. There are different colors, so you can see there are greens, blues, yellows, purples, and reds. What you want to know here is that each one of these colors has a different multiplier of stats or a base power in general. So even if you awaken them to max level and you unlock all their abilities, and which we'll be talking about in a few seconds, well, these characters might have a different stats and a different base power, and that base power gets multiplied by some different multiplier, and some characters have higher power than the others. So currently in the game, the green characters have the highest power possible, and then the yellow ones are after that. Then comes the purple, then the blues, and then the reds are at the very bottom of the list. Now, that doesn't mean that the reds are worse than the greens or the opposite. Of course, as I said before, the power doesn't really tell you how good a character is. The difference here is that the attack or the red type characters are more specialized in attack stats, and they have really bad stats in CP and defense, and that doesn't really help them with the total power at the end. So they're really good in some situations, like for example in surprise attack mission, they're really good at finishing off the SAM boss in just one hit, compared to green characters that are really bad in the SAM sometimes because they don't have enough multiplier or enough damage because they have the lowest attack stats in the game. So again, we get to the point that says that the power doesn't really tell you how good a character actually is. But yeah, every character is good in their own way. Now let's talk about the fragments. How do you get these fragments here? So there are different ways, because characters get released in different events, and you can get their fragments from different ways. First of all, there are these special characters that get added to the game in random missions. Now, currently we don't have a random mission in the game, but we get that once every month for new characters. And the last time we had it, it was for Sage of Six Path Naruto and Rinnegan Sasuke, and they made it so much easier to get their fragments from the point shop. So you basically have to go to the shop here. The points change every event, and you have to, of course, grind them to be able to buy these fragments here. So last time they made it so much easier. You just needed to buy all the fragments, which are a total of 570 for only 9,750. And that's actually only a matter of 4 or 5 games, and you could do that for both characters. So basically 10 or 12 games were enough to get all the fragments for these characters. So basically you just have to buy the fragments from here, and if you come late to the game and you don't have the option, of course, to buy these fragments anymore because the round of mission is gone, then in that case you're gonna have to wait for around a month or two for them to add these fragments into the Fortress Middle shop. Now, how do you get the Fortress Middles? You just have to play Team Battle or Attack Missions. So you just go to Attack Missions, play Solo Battle or Team Battle. Of course, Team Battle is a limited time event, so in that case you just have to play Solo Battle. You just have to play solo battles and kill as many enemies outside of the final room as possible, and of course try to get wins, because when you get wins you get more Fortress Middles at the end. And when you do, you just have to go back to the shop and go to the Fortress Middle shop and, you know, find the fragments that you need. For every 10 fragments you have to pay 300 Fortress Middles. So in that case, it should be easy for anyone to get these fragments. It's not easy at the beginning because you don't get as many Fortress Middles at the beginning from the lower leagues. But if you rank up higher in the leagues, you will get more Fortress Middles, and eventually you'll be able to buy all the fragments you need for these characters. Now, there are some other events, special events, that get added to the game. For some characters, they get added as a special mission here. So basically just go to the limited time mission, you play the same mission over and over again, you keep grinding for the middles or the fragments with these characters, and when you get enough fragments after, I don't know, maybe it's actually a little bit hard. You're gonna have to play like maybe 40 or 50 games before you get enough fragments with these characters, and then eventually you will be able to awaken them to max level. There are some other recommended missions that we get on celebration events, like the one we had for the 2nd anniversary. You could actually get the fragments for almost every character in the game, and it was so easy because you could get like 13 fragments for every character every game, and it was, you know, you just had to play like 20 or 30 games to get these fragments to max level for every character actually. So that's the special missions. Then some characters are hidden in Ninja Way missions. These characters are not really that great to play with anyway, but you can get them easily from chapter 7 up to chapter 13. You can easily just play these missions over and over again, and you will get the fragments for these characters. So these characters are not really that great, and not a lot of people play with them anyway, but they're there in case you want to get their fragments, because you don't have the option to get them from anywhere else. You can also get the fragments from the birthday events. So there are birthday events for some of these characters, like Kakashi, for example. We had a birthday event for him earlier, and Sasuke as well. Basically, you will be sent these fragments, 200 fragments, as a birthday celebration for these characters. And if you go to the special shop, if you go to the shop here, the special shop will offer you a discount on these characters in their fragments for 150 Fortress Middles instead of 300 for each of the 10 fragments. Now, as you can see, you can actually buy some fragments here for Shinobites. Never do that. That's actually a huge waste of Shinobites. Never use Shinobites to buy fragments for these characters. Always buy them from the Fortress Middle shop for free, and just grind these Fortress Middles and never waste your Shinobites here. Honestly, it's a really horrible deal, especially for the daily shop as well. So the daily shop, you will find also some deals in Shinobites. Don't buy anything from here either. There is also one more way, which is through the Ryu summon. So if you go to the Ryu summon and you play some summons here, you eventually get some fragments randomly to the characters that are possible in the game right now. So you just have to keep doing this. Of course, if you have extra Rio, you will end up getting some fragments for one character. So for example, as you can see, I got only one fragment for Itachi. It's not really the best place to get the fragments you need, but if you are looking to, you know, awaken all the characters at once, it's a good idea to just waste your Rio here, because eventually you will have no use for the Rio anyway, because you will, you know, unlock all the establishments to max level, and you will unlock everything with the Rio, and then this is the only way to use the Rio after that. Alright, next up we have the abilities, and if you go to the character that you want to power up and you click on the upper right here on the abilities button, you will find a whole list of abilities. This list gets unlocked the more you awaken your character, and that's why we started with the awakening of the Shinobi, because it's the most important thing, as I mentioned before, and the more you awaken your character, the more abilities you will be able to unlock. Now, the more you unlock abilities, the more stats you will get, and of course, as we talked before, the stats account to a huge part of the power you get. So the abilities don't only enhance your stats, but it only enhance your ultimate. So if you have an ultimate for that character, the power of the ultimate will be increased, and the CP cost will go down, the cooldown will go down as well, and obviously these improvements of the ultimate will not really count up to the final power of your character. So if you're only looking for the final power of the character, then you obviously want to start with the stats. There are, however, some abilities that are pretty useless in case, for example, you don't have the second ultimate of that character. So for example, here we have the repeated Rasen Shuriken of KLM Naruto. If you don't have this ultimate, then there's no reason for you to unlock the last ability points here, or the abilities that we have here. For example, increase the wind style repeated Rasen Shuriken power by 90. That's not going to help you with the power, and it's not going to give you any stats. So you need to be careful when you have to, of course, read every single ability before you unlock it. Otherwise, it will be a huge waste of ability points. Now, how do you get these ability points? Because that's the main point of this part of the video. First of all, the easiest way is to get them from login bonus. You always have a login bonus. We always have a login bonus that gives us free ability points, and you don't really have to do anything for that except for just logging into the game every day. The second easy way here is to use the Rio summon. You just have to summon on the Rio, exactly the same as we did with the fragments, and eventually you will be able to get these ability points for free. You can get, I think, 10, 35, and 50 from a single summon. This is just the boss abilities that you can get for ability points for free from the Rio summon. The next easy way is to just first clear some missions, and in this case we have, for example, Chapter 9, Battle 5, and Ninja Way missions, which is always there. If you clear for the first time within 80 seconds, you get 500 ability points. Some special missions also have the same thing, so if you get here and you click on the details, some missions have this reward of ability points as the first clear. If you do it, if you do the mission, of course, that gives you that ability points. And then obviously for the main way that a lot of people are getting ability points with, which is selling ninja cards. So there are a lot of ninja cards that you will get, and they're very useless. You will probably never use. You just have to sell them for ability points. But before you sell them, you need to know that you have to enhance them to max rarity first. So for example, this card is based as bronze card. It's supposedly 3 stars. If you sell the 3-star card, you only get 50 ability points. But if you upgrade it all the way to 5 stars and you sell it at that point, you will actually be able to get more. I believe you get around 5,000 from selling a 5-star card that is based as 3-star, of course. But there are other cards that you can sell as well that are higher tier. So for example, some ninja cards that are, for example, based at silver, so 4 stars, and can be upgraded to 6 stars. In that case, if you sell these cards at 4 star, you only get around, I think, 500 ability points. But if you sell them at 6 stars, you get 30,000 ability points. Some cards are stat cards. We'll be talking about the stat cards, by the way, in a few minutes in the cards section. And for that part, you will know that there are some no Jutsu cards that are, stat cards, and are very bad in stats, that you will actually not be able to use them anyway, because they're not really giving you that much stats. And if you sell them, you get 50,000 ability points. So you just have to know whether that card that you have is useful for you or not. Some people like to collect these cards, so they're not going to sell them. They already have a lot of ability points like myself, and that's obviously because they summon a lot. So if you summon a lot, if you have a lot of tickets, for example, you will use a lot of tickets, you get a lot of cards, a lot of useless cards will show up, and you will have to sell them anyway. So again, before you sell them, for example, before we sell this card, for example, we have to enhance that card to max level, then evolve it, then enhance it once again, and then after that you sell it for much more than it already was worth at the base level that it was. So right now we have it at silver. At silver, I think it should be, let's actually check how much it is at silver. So at silver you get 600 for it. It was 50 when it was bronze. Now when you unlock it all the way up to 5 stars, which is a gold rarity, and you try to sell it, it will be even more worth it, and it will be 5,000 ability points. So when you sell it, you get 5,000 ability points instead of the 50 that you were going to get as bronze. Now, if you summon here, of course, you will get a lot of cards, and some cards are useless. How do you know if this card is useless or not? You have to ask, of course, in the Discord server. You'll find the link for that in the description below. But in the main point, some people don't have a lot of, cannot really summon a lot. So there is one more way where you can get ability points by farming them, but it's not really that perfect. You just have to go to the Ninja Way missions, and if you guys remember chapter 7 to chapter 13, you will be able to get not only the fragments for these characters, but also you will be able to get cards for them. The rate actually for getting these cards is pretty low, so I think every 10 games you play you might get one card, and in that case you're just gonna have to go. If you sell this card, by the way, it's only gonna give you 1 ability points. So again, you're gonna have to do the same trick and evolve it to the max level, and when you do, you will only get around 50 ability points. It's not much, but you can do that whenever you want. And then when you sell it, you get 50 ability points instead of the one you were gonna get for it as a 1-star. Alright, next up we have the tools, which is a really important factor that has a lot of stats that is given to the character and also helps with the total power of the character. So there are different tools in the game from different places, and they're ranked up in different ways. And in this video I'm not going to go into detail. I'm actually planning on making a factory guide video, which will include the tools, the effects, and everything into detail, and it's gonna be coming up in a different video in the next few weeks. Let's hope that I find time to make another guide video then. But for now, we're gonna do a quick guide video on all the tools in the game and that where they're possible to be gotten. And in that case, we'll start with the most important tools that you can get, which are from the random missions that are completely for free, but need a lot of grinding and a lot of time. So currently we don't have any random mission going on, but if you go to the point shop, again, the same place we bought the awakening fragments from for these characters, you can also get specific tools for these characters. You cannot use these tools on every character, you can only use them on the specific characters for these random mission events. And these are the best tools possible in the game for these characters. Of course, you cannot use them again on any character, but still, if you're using that new character, these tools are definitely worth the grind and the time you waste on the grind. So they give you a lot of stats, they give you power for their new ultimate, and of course they give you 2 extra spots where you can add effects to them. I will be talking about that in the different video we talked about earlier. So yeah, you definitely need to grind these, even though they're really expensive in points. You just have to keep playing for a few days. These events normally actually last for 10 to 20 days, so you have plenty of time to grind for these tools, and you will most likely be able to get them for free eventually. The second best tools you can get are from the bundles in the shop. So if you see bargains here, most of the time they either give you cards extra Shinobites or tools with the Shinobites. So if you have the money to buy these tools are also most likely going to be specific to some characters. So if you go, for example, back here to the Shinobi and we go to Kill Him Naruto, currently has 2 specific Ishiraku Ramen tools, and these are bundle specific tools that you have to buy from the shop, and they give you 3 spots to actually add flexibly some more effects. Plus, you get some initial effects or special stats at the beginning, and of course you can add, as I said, more stats to them. So these are the second best in the game. The third best possible to be gotten are from the team battle, and the team battle, as I said before, are limited time missions or events, and you can get the special rewards. So they have a really low rate to drop, around 2% or 1% in some events to drop, and sometimes they're not even featured in the team battles. So these are the third best that you can get from the game, and you can use them on any character in the game. They're very useful to increase the power of the ultimates, and they also give you attack stats and sometimes HP and defense if we have the other vest kind of tools. So these are the third best in the game to be gotten. Then after that, we'll have to go back to the random missions. because in the point shop you have other tools that you can get, which are right here. They're not as good as the ones you can get from the team battle, obviously, but they're pretty decent, and if you buy them, they will be usable on any character. All Shinobi can equip, as you can see, and they're pretty decent. They're really cheap. I think they're like 7,000 points each, and yeah, you can use them on any character. So these are like the fourth best in my opinion. Then we have something also similar to the team battle events. So if you check here, you have the special rewards, but there is something else that you can get from the team battles, which are the limited time achievement special rewards. These are the scrolls that you can add. Well, it gives you already some stats, and then it gives you one empty slot where you can add something to it. So if you go to the limited time missions, you will definitely find it here in the achievements. So it's always here. I already cleared it. So when we go to the factory and we check the tools that we have, you will find them here. So these are the ones you get from every team battle. You can get 2, and you can add any effect that you want here. Now sometimes we get actually some more tools from the login bonus. That's actually pretty rare, and sometimes we have them possible to be gotten from the special missions. So you can see here we have on the first clear of these missions, you get some tools, and these tools can be special in some ways. They give special effects that you cannot actually get them from the factory, and they're pretty useful sometimes. Not all of them are, but sometimes they are useful. And there are some that you can actually grind for. So for example, as you can see here, we have these snowman tools for Naruto, Hinata, Boruto, and Himari, and they're basically grindable, but they're not really that good. So that leaves them in the place before the last, and then the last place is for the guild middle shop. Honestly, I don't know why the guild middle shop still exists in the game. These tools are the worst, but yeah, you can buy some decent ones from here, and you can see this is possibly the best one that you can buy. The police force ninja plate is probably the best one you can buy from here. Alright, next up we have the cards, and this is very important because the cards give you the biggest chunk of stats and eventually the biggest amount of power added to the character. Now we have a lot of cards in the game. We have hundreds of cards basically, and it's really hard to kind of tier them up in tier list. But eventually I just made a tier list of 6 tiers, and I'm gonna be talking about that in this part of the video. If you are a new player, you will need all the 6 tiers of the cards, but then eventually when you get into the game for 1 or 2 months, you will probably only need the first 4 tiers and nothing else. So starting off with the first tier, and these cards are the premium cards. You can only get them right now from the shop. If you go to the bundles here, you can get, for example, this card of Itachi versus Sasuke, and it has applicable opponents for Itachi. Before I forget about this part, you guys need to know something. Most cards have two factors in them. So the color of the card, so this card has yellow color, and the character applicable for opponents here. So we have here Itachi, and we have the yellow card. So basically, if you give this card, by the way, it's not like tools. So basically, for example, even though this card says Itachi on it, it doesn't mean that this card is only used on Itachi. You can actually use this card on any character in the game. You don't really have to use it only on Itachi. But if you use it on Itachi, this card will give 10% more stats to Itachi. If you use it on other characters, this 10% is going to be lost. It's not going to be given to Itachi, to that other character. So if you use it on Sasuke, Naruto, or any other character, it will not give that extra 10% stats. And one more thing is, if you use this card, the yellow type, on a yellow type character, that character will get 5% more stats. So someone like Itachi, we have 2 Itachis, for example. One Itachi is blue type and one Itachi is yellow type. If you use this card on this Itachi, the blue type Itachi, then you will get 10% more points because it's a specific character for that card. But if you use it on the yellow Itachi, he will get 15% more stats because it's not just the card is specific for him, but also the color matches with his type. So that's something that I want to say before I forget. Now, these cards are currently only possible to be gotten from the shop bundles, and you can buy them for either $50 or €50 depending where you live, and sometimes €37. So this one, for example, was 37 euros, and I think in dollars would be like $36 or something like that. So yeah, that's the top tier cards. It was possible back in the days to get these cards for free from the surprise deck missions in the top rankings. Now Bandai doesn't do that anymore. They give you free ultimates instead. And yeah, basically, if we go back here, I can actually show you the old cards from the surprise deck missions that were given for free. So this card, for example, the one with Itachi, was featured in the SAM number 4, surprise deck mission number 4, and I got 3 copies of it because I was in the top 1000. In the purple here also we have this card that was featured for surprise deck mission number 5, and I also landed up in the top 10,000, top 1000, and got 3 copies of it. There's also one in the green area. There we go. This one is from surprise deck mission number 3, and I got 3 copies again because I was in the top 1000. So it was possible to get these top tier cards for free, and it's not anymore, sadly. I think we got this card for free from the first anniversary. We didn't get one similar to that in the second anniversary, sadly. So I think Bandai has cut the rope on these top tier stack cards to be given for free. Now that leads us to the second tier cards, and in that case, these are the cards that are actually given for free now for clearing the veteran missions and special missions in general. Sometimes you get them for free as well. So this card, for example, was featured in a veteran mission for the second anniversary. If you guys remember, if you were here, in the last month, you probably know about this card. A lot of people have it for clearing the veteran mission, and it's a second tier card. There are some similar to that also from other veteran missions, like this one here. This veteran mission, for example, came back once, so it came twice in the game, and it's a second tier card. You can actually compare it to the stats of this one. For example, this is a top tier card. You have to buy it with Shinobites, and this is a second tier card. You can tell the difference in the HP, for example, like 300 difference in HP stats. And then that leads us to the third tier cards, which in that case are the ultimate cards. So any ultimate card that you pull from the summons, you can only get them, by the way, from the summons and from surprise deck missions. As I said, they no longer give top tier cards, but they give you free ultimates, so you can use the ultimates as tag cards. So these cards, all these cards are third tier cards. And for example, this card was given for free from the last surprise deck mission. I got, I think, 4 copies of it, and you can use it as tag card. You can actually level up the cards and the ultimate, I mean, to high level, but eventually some people just leave the copies there just to use them as tag cards. So yeah, these are the third stack cards, or the third tier stack cards. Then that leads us to the fourth tier stack cards, and in that case, that's the ninjutsu base silver cards that can be evolved to 6 stars, or 6 stars rarity. So these are the fourth tier in the game, and they have decent power, decent stats, and you can still use them in the game to enhance, to power up your characters. Especially that most of these cards are applicable for some characters and have sometimes the same color as these characters. In this case, it's only applicable to Shisui, and since Shisui is green, he's not getting the 5% from the color type. But that's the fourth tier. That leads us to the fifth tier, and in that case, we're gonna go back to the no Jutsu, the stack cards. And even though you might think the stack cards are main purpose is giving stats, because it doesn't really give you Jutsu or ultimates, some of them are really bad. That leaves them in the fifth place. And I'm talking here about the latest 2 cards that we got. The one from the time slip arc of Boruto. This card, for example, is really bad if you compare it to the cards we got, or for example the ninjutsu, yeah, the ninjutsu cards. The ninjutsu cards have better stats than them, and these are 4th tier, so that means these cards that we have here are fifth tier. I forgot the numbers. All right, so this is the fifth tier cards, and you will need them at the beginning when you start the game. But 1 month into the game, you will have a lot of these cards in here, the 4-star silver ninjutsu cards, and you will not need these useless stack cards anymore. Let me keep them both because I keep switching between all of them. So yeah, they should be here, right here. Okay, so this card, for example, we got it also for the Christmas, this one for the celebration of the time slip arc, and yeah, you can basically eventually just sell them for ability points. If you sell these, you get 50,000 ability points each, and that's what a lot of people do. Some people that don't need the ability points just keep them for collection because, you know, it's a really cool artwork, and it would be sad to just sell that and get rid of that. But some people don't really care, and they can just sell them for ability points. So again, this is the fifth tier stack card, and in this case, we're gonna go to the last viable stack card here, which is the sixth tier, and that would be the base bronze stack cards. You get these from summons, by the way. And they are also applicable. They have applicable bonus to some characters. You can use them, and they will be given almost exactly the same stats as a 4-star ninjutsu card, but they're not exactly the same. They're like a little bit lower than the 4-star ninjutsu cards. So if you use them, of course, on that specific character, if you use them on other characters, it will just be the stats that you see here. This is, by the way, a maxed out card level at level 60. So these cards are mainly used for ability points. When you sell them, you get 5,000 ability points. These are 6th tier. Nobody uses them anymore as stack cards. If you are new to the game, you might have to use them at the beginning, but then eventually, if you play for a month or 2 months, you will probably have a lot of ninjutsu stack cards that are 4-star base or silver base and go up to 6 stars, and then in that case you will not need these cards anymore, or the 5th tier cards. So that's the point where you have to get rid of these cards, sell them for ability points, and then cards like this as well. This card is also, I think, a 5th tier. So basically when you sell these cards, you get ability points, and that's basically the purpose of them if you're not collecting them. Alright guys, so for the final part of this video, and if you've made it so far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, obviously. Now for this part, we're talking about the ninjutsu and the ultimate jutsu. There isn't much to talk about here except for how to get these and how to level them up. Of course, everything else like, you know, the power of these ultimates or the jutsu, or the standard damage, or the multiplier they get, or whatever, all of that is basically irrelevant for the final power. So all we need to know here is how to get them and how to level them up. First of all, we'll be talking about how to get them, and that's obviously from the summons. That's the premium part of the game. You have to summon for these cards, to summon for the ultimates. And yeah, sometimes you have guaranteed summons, sometimes you have just a pickup summon where you have a percentage, and you guys have to just keep summoning until you get that ultimate or that ninjutsu. And then you have the free summons. You have the voltage summon that you can summon on every 5 days for free. You have the ticket summons that you get for free as well from either login bonuses or from the surprise deck missions or from special events. And yeah, you can basically get ultimates and ninjutsu from here as well. Just not for all the characters in the game, because this ticket summon is kind of restricted to the first year of the game, or the first few characters that were released in the game. So yeah, you have the summons. It's the first place to get ultimates and ninjutsu. The second place to get ultimates and ninjutsu for free is from the surprise deck mission. So the surprise deck mission right now is unavailable, but if you have it on, you will have the option to get one ultimate from just grinding out the points from the surprise deck mission, and then there is another ultimate that you can get for free by ranking up in the top 10,000. And of course you get the ninjutsu for that character that you are getting the ultimates for from just grinding up the points and, you know, getting the 4 copies of that ninjutsu. As for the ninjutsu, there are other ways to get the regular jutsu, not the ultimates, which is from the random mission. So if you go to the point shop, you will be able to find some ninjutsu for the newest characters. You can actually get them for free. If you grind a little bit in the random mission, you will get enough points to buy these new jutsu for these characters. Mostly they don't really feature all the jutsu these characters got. They only feature like the bronze jutsu as green cards. So you can basically get these for just a few points, and they're most of the time they're very useful actually. So this card, for example, for Sasuke is going to be very useful for the next surprise attack mission, and it's for free. So yeah, that's one way to get ninjutsu for free. There is the other way, which is to get ninja way missions characters jutsu for free. We already talked about that like I think twice so far, in the ability points part and in the awakening part. So basically what you do here is you grind either the chapter 7 up to chapter 13, and every time you play these games you have the ability to get the ninjutsu cards for these characters. Again, these characters are not really that popular. There are sometimes some very special missions that are limited time or recommended, and they come only during the biggest celebrations in the game, just like the one we got last 2nd anniversary. And you can basically get all the ninjutsu the same way you got your ninjutsu from the Ninja Way missions, but for other characters as well. So we got all the original kits for almost all the characters in the game, and they were pretty much farmable. You just had to play a lot of games to get these jutsu and get more copies of them as well to level them up. So that's a really easy way to get the ninjutsu. You just have to start playing in the right timing and find the right missions for that. Now, how do you level up these ultimates and the ninjutsu? Because of course the level of the ultimate and the ninjutsu has a huge impact on the power, the total power at the end. So basically you go to the synthesized jutsu and you choose the card or the ultimate or the jutsu that you want to actually enhance to higher level. So you go to, for example, this ultimate of Hashirama, and you try to find other copies of that ultimate. Now you get more copies, of course, from the same summon you got this ultimate from, and you just enhance them together. Of course, you have to max out the rarity of that ultimate before you enhance that ultimate by the other copy. So the copy has to be max rarity as well. So if the copy you got was 5 stars, make sure to evolve it first to get it up to 6 stars before using it as a copy to enhance this card. And there are also the other ways, which are using the frogs. So to get these ultimate frogs, you can either get them regularly from every surprise attack mission. If you rank up in the top 10,000, of course, the higher you rank up, like in the top 1,000, you get more frogs than these people that ranked up in the top 5,000. And of course, the top 3 get the highest amount of frogs to upgrade their ultimates. But then there are other events that actually give you these frogs, like special legion bonuses or the first clears of veteran missions, or there are some promotions, like in the 2nd anniversary we had this guaranteed summon where if you summoned on the 2 steps you get 1 frog for free, a rainbow frog, and that was a really good opportunity for people to get this frog and use it on any character they want as exactly as a copy of an ultimate that is max rarity at 6 stars. So these are the only possibilities to get these frogs. They are really rare, and if you have them, make sure to use them on the right ultimates to know exactly which ultimates that they are useful for. You need to ask, of course, in the Discord server. Again, you will find the links for that in the description below. As for the ninjutsu cards, if you go to a ninjutsu here, for example, a regular ninjutsu, you'll also find frogs for that. And these frogs are pretty much more common to find than the ultimate frogs, because the ninjutsu are not really as important for Bandai as ultimates. However, they are actually, and their levels are very useful. And the fact that you have these frogs, a lot of these frogs, will help you save a lot of Shinobites instead of you just trying to get multiple copies of that jutsu. So for jutsu, most of the time you want to level them up to max level. As for the ultimates, sometimes you don't really have to level them up more than the level 1. So level 1 for ultimates, for a lot of ultimates, is more than enough. But for the jutsu, most of them, they need to be leveled up to max level, of course, for either the cooldown or the abilities they have being better, or the damage they deal, because you need the jutsu, that you use the jutsu more than the ultimate most of the time. So the ultimate being enough to kill the enemy every 60 seconds, for example, or every 2 minutes, that's more than enough. So yeah, that's how you get that's how you level up your Jutsu. Of course, you can use the copies. To get the frogs, though, there are many ways to get the frogs, either from the limited achievements. So limited time achievements always have something about these frogs. You can also get them from the surprise attack mission rewards. You can also farm them, and this is the best place to get them here, is to farm them from the special rewards of the rare fortresses in the team battle. This is the main source of frogs. You can get a lot of frogs here if you play a lot, and it's not just about, you know, the kunai or the team battle tools, but also the frogs are very important source of power and, you know, increasement of your jutsu. So team battle is the best place to get these frogs. And of course, there's the limited achievements, the surprise deck missions, and there are other login bonuses, special missions that give you these frogs as well. So that's basically everything so far in that you need to know about power in this game. You have the formula, of course. You can use it on any character to see where your character is, what they're actually lacking, and you can start working on any of your characters right now by using any of the 5 factors that we talked about. And yeah, eventually you will be able to get your characters to very high power. Now, we have already talked about the first ranks, like the highest power in the game right now is 175,000. But how about these characters that can get up to S rank and double S rank, because that's better than A rank? The S rank is possible to be obtained at 200,000 power, and the double S rank is possible to be obtained at 250,000 power. There is nothing higher than SS rank right now, and the only possibility for anyone to get to the S rank or the double S rank only if these characters are special shinobi in a surprise deck mission. So it's only possible to find these S and double S rank characters inside the surprise deck mission screens or games. So if you find one player with an S rank or a double S rank outside of the surprise deck missions, know for sure that these people are hacking. Unless, of course, Bandai adds like a different mode later in the game, and you know, they would give you a boost in stats and stuff like that in for example, a special mission or whatever. But for now, any mode outside of the surprise deck missions, it's not possible to get over the A rank. So only, again, S rank and double S rank are possible to be obtained during the surprise deck mission, because of course the special shinobi get 5 times more the HP that they have. So you will multiply the HP by 5, which already gives you a huge amount of power. And then, of course, if you are the unsealer of the game, you get 50% more attack stats. So you get, you know, if you have, for example, 20,000 attack already, you get 10,000 more, and then you multiply the 10,000 by 2.5, and that gives you more power. So that's basically what helps you get into the S and the double S rank in the surprise deck mission. But outside of the surprise deck mission, it's just not possible to get the S and double S rank yet, unless, of course, the game decides to release more better cards or better jutsu, or allow us to awaken the characters to 7 stars maybe, or give us better tools or whatever. We'll see how this whole thing goes. But for now, there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next guide video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.